Hello to all my people, and if you're watching live, checking us out on YouTube, or listening on your favorite podcast provider, you are most definitely my people. Welcome to another episode of Botched and Share Shots. I'm your host, a chef by trade, no mark by choice. I am the Will Gray, and joining me tonight, hailing from Pleasant Valley, New York, NWA Superstar and one half of the Now, Hale Collins. Hale, thanks for coming on and chat about some wrestling, brother. How are you?
Hey man, I'm happy to be here. This should be fun.
I always enjoy this because every time I get to have this conversation, it kind of gives me a new appreciation for the sport and the business, so to speak. I always start at the bare bones basic question is that's early exposure. I grew up American Southeast, late 80s, early 90s. So I grew up watching a lot of the end of the NWA, early WCW stuff. What do you remember watching as a young wrestling fan?
Like my earliest memory, I'd say,
Yeah.
would have to be. It was the first time I remember seeing it because my father was like, "Hey, come check this out," and I'm like, "All right." And it was I believe it was Saturday night's main event, and it was Hulk Hogan freaking out because he got screwed by the evil double refs, the twins. It was like 1989, I believe, and I got hooked when Hulk Hogan like gorilla pressed the evil ref and throw him. I was like hooked ever since. So from that day forward, I watched wrestling every weekend of my life.
So when you decided, okay, this is what I want to do, I want to be a pro wrestler. What was the process like on deciding on a school or getting into training?
Well, I decided to become a pro wrestler my whole life. Right when I saw it, I always wanted to be a pro wrestler. So when I was 9, I built my own ring. When I was 12, I rebuilt my own ring. I backyard wrestled my whole life, really. Then 16, I built another ring at my friend's house. So we had like backyard wrestling events and stuff like that. Uh, I didn't think it was really possible to become a professional wrestler because I wasn't a jock. I was more like because I couldn't get. I was really good at sports, but like I couldn't get in because I had the grades. I had like the bare minimum. Like just passing. So like I couldn't get on teams. Um, so one night when I was I don't know 14, I guess I was ready for a change, but I stayed up late like I wasn't supposed to, and all of a sudden ECW showed up at 1 a.m. Right, so I'm like, what the hell is this? I'm like so taken back by because that by this time I was kind of over the Hulk Hogan Ultimate Warrior kind of style. I was like my brain was evolving. I really enjoyed watching Owen Hart and Bret Hart matches, like from WrestleMania 10. That's one of my favorites. I was a huge Owen Hart fan in 1994. But I was ready for something else, but I just didn't know what. So my brain was just, really working here. And a lot of people leave wrestling at that age, because like they're just, but my brain just picked up on ECW and I couldn't believe it. When I saw the Sandman, this is when my brain changed. When I saw the Sandman, I go, he looks like my uncle at a barbecue.
He was just the everydays guy, man. Like he was just as normal as you got.
Yeah, I could do this. And plus the style was cool. I loved the hardcore style. I loved how like raunchy and awesome and all that stuff. So that's really when I always wanted to be a pro wrestler, but I thought it was like joining the NBA. It's just not going to happen. But when I saw you step, I was like, well, you know what? I think I got a shot here, and that's when I became very obsessed of becoming one at age 14.
So at one point in your career, you had a chance to train with a WWE icon and legend in a lot of ways with Johnny Roddz. How did you end up hooking up with Johnny?
Uh, I instead of looking at colleges, I was looking at wrestling schools. I didn't want to like cheapen myself, so like I was like, let's see where all these ECW guys came from. So like the main school where a lot of them came from was Johnny Roddz. You got Devon, you got Hugh Moore, Bill DeMont. You had Devon. You had Angel from the Baldies. Um, Musketeer even, like you had guys that like just came from there. It was like they plucked guys from Johnny Ross being ECW. So I did my homework and I was like, you know what? If I want to do this, I gotta go to school. So I sent them letters. I sent them letters saying, hey, I want to join your school. He sent me back the business card. My parents wouldn't really sign the consent forms because I was, they didn't want me doing it. But when I turned 18, I went to Johnny Rodd's school April 3rd, year 2000. And I from a farm town, like not much going on, small town. And here I am going on a train an hour and a half to, Manhattan, and then subways alone at 18 for an hour to get to Brooklyn. all by myself. I paid everything by myself. So my parents thought I was delivering pizza when I was really going to Brooklyn to train at Johnny Roddz. But I never forget it. Like, I walk in, I sit down, talking to Johnny Roddz. He has this awesome office with all his memorabilia, all his history. And all of a sudden, he's telling me how it is. Big Dick Dudley walks in, and I'm like, whoa, this is cool. Snakeskin Boots, the biggest human I've ever seen. He's like, oh, what's up, kid? Anyway, Johnny, they're talking business. I'm like, this is really cool. And I was like, done. Sign me up.
We'll kind of start pouncing around your career a little bit because I want to talk about some of those ECW guys. At one point, you were with Shakara, and you actually had a chance to team with Tommy Dreamer. So having such a cool experience with ECW, like growing up and then having a chance to team with him later, what was that like?
That was House of Hardcore when I teamed up with him, not Chikara. Chikara I never worked for.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. That's on me then.
I should have, but I just did. So the first time I teamed with Tommy Dreamer was Northeast Wrestling, and then I was like, the first time. The first time I met Tommy Dreamer was at a camp, in 2005. He was the head of talent relations, So I went there, met him, and I kept in touch with him. That's a funny, different story, but I kept in touch with him, just texting, just staying in touch. And then we wrestled in Northeast Wrestling, and then it was cool teaming up with him because he was like the guy in ECW, and Johnny Roddz. I always thought he was awesome. He could take a beating, always come back. I had a lot of respect for him, and then it turned into us opening up House of Hardcore later down the line. But yeah, it's like Tommy Dreamer was really, really fun to work. Like, really fun to wrestle because he never messes up. If you ever watch a Tommy Dreamer match, zero hiccups, zero nothing.
Consistent every time.
His timing's perfect. Just, he never messes up. So he's very, very strict if you mess up because he doesn't. So.
You mentioned another promotion you spent a lot of time working with. That's Northeast Wrestling. You've spent a ton of your career working there. What are some of the biggest differences, though, if you look at, that 05, 06 range when you first started with them to where they're at now in the 2023 range? What are some of the biggest differences on the indie scene?
The biggest difference between Northeast Wrestling and it is now, I feel, is back in 2006, 7, 8, even 9, 10, 11, 12 even. It was very hard to get in. Extremely. If you looked at anyone the wrong way, you're done. You're not booked. And you had to look like a wrestler. You had to be top notch because after Northeast Wrestling is when you got signed. Usually, you went to WWE, TNA, Ring of Honor. You went somewhere after that. And Northeast Wrestling is really responsible for building a lot of stars. It was the crowds are amazing. The difference is, I feel, they still only book great talent. If you're booked on Northeast Wrestling, you're good. You never got to worry about getting in the ring with Northeast Wrestling any years and worry about the guy not knowing what they're doing. So it's really they have that. The only really it's still one of the best. It's still, I can't really compare the two. The only comparison I would say is it's a little easier wrestling for them. I would say I don't want to take credibility of the hard work of guys getting there, but in 2005, 6, 7, 8, up to 12, 13, even 14, it was literally impossible. So if you got in, you got to work hard, you got to sell tickets, put posters up, work your ass off, get people in the door, build money for the company.
Let's take a look at the here and now, pun intended. You guys are, hot in the NWA. You guys are working through that. What's it kind of like working in Billy's NWA now, kind of with the cast of legends he's constantly bringing in and rotating through the locker room for you guys to work with and meet and see? What's the vibe like for the NWA right now in the locker room?
Man, I can't tell you how awesome the NWA is. I'm not just saying that because I wrestle there, but man, it's see, I started in 2000, I've seen so many people throughout the generations, and NWA has all the people I met in each generation of my career. So it's like um, like a timeline, and everyone's really cool. Like everyone's respectful. There is no like games. There is no big leaguing. It's like a big family, it's a great culture. Like everyone, and also everyone wants the best for you. Like you have a match. There is no sneaky stuff going on. It's like let's build the NWA. Let's not build us. Let's build the brand. So that's cool because everyone is on the same page. And it's cool. And plus, like they really care about psychology. Huge. Hold the tag rope before you get tagged. Better not bury the ref and not get out of the ring within 5 seconds. All that fun stuff that makes the match really challenging sometimes. But you want that. So there's no 3 tag moves in the ring all at once and burying the referee and make him count to 5 like 10 times. Like there's none of that going on.
One of the things right around the corner for you guys is the Crockett Cup. It's coming up in June. You and Vic had a chance to compete in it last year against the Briscoes in the opening round. Came a little bit short, but against one of the best tag teams in the world. It's, understandable sometimes. What was it like working with the Briscoes then? And what's the excitement level like going into the Crockett Cup this year?
Like wrestle the Briscoes then?
Yeah. What was the experience like to have a chance to lock up with them?
And like that, like I'll never forget, like, there was that, like, we were knocking on the NWA door for like 6 months, and like, then we finally got the call, said, hey, there's a team couldn't make it. And we got, a spot. And I'm like, oh, well, there, done, Then we find the rest of the Briscoes. And now, man, we've been after these guys for years because Vic and I always want to wrestle the best, like we always want to just wrestle the best, because him and I, we're obsessed with tag team wrestling, Plus, we were like best friends since 7th grade, like so. Like we're always trying to make every match better. We're dissecting tag team wrestling, and we look at the Briscoes, and we're like, man, we just want to get in the ring with them. But every time we went somewhere, they went somewhere. But also, they were locked in Ring of Honor. So the only time you could really ever wrestle the Briscoes if you went to Ring of Honor. So like the like we just could never get to them, and then we're now. Out of nowhere, not only did you get booked for the Crockett Cup, which is full focus on tag team wrestling, not only tag team wrestling, but traditional tag team wrestling, where there is no not following psychology, right?
Like good wrestling.
Yeah. But make it make sense, get the people invested, make everything work, So like, and like, we were so grateful to wrestle them, but also we looked at each other like, this is our only shot. Like, we're just here to fill in for someone, but we've been ready for this for over 20 years. So, like, we want to be humble, but we also want to bring it, So it's like, but they were so cool. The Briscoes are without a doubt one of the best people I've been in the ring with. They're smooth, just really good, and was really refreshing after the match. I'm like, man, now I understand what a night off is. Like it's like they're tough as nails. Like they hit you. It's but it's like a respect thing. It's just, and I was very grateful how they gave us stuff. They could have just walked in and said, hey man, we got in and out. All right, we got like in and out. They gave us time. They gave us moves. I always say to everyone, man, I'm so thankful for them because like they got us over, like in a way,
So this is a question I'm going to ask you. I didn't ask Vic this. During when I was looking through some stuff for you, some lists, some matches, I noticed that you and Vic have had great chemistry. You guys have been best friends since the 7th grade, your whole lives at this point, pretty much. When you look at it, though, you guys have locked up a few times from opposite sides of the ring. What's the chemistry like when you and Vic lock up as opponents and not tag team partners?
Well, like, it's like, I would say like it's like two brothers fighting, like, I went there like kind of like excited. I'm gonna hit you freaking hard. Yeah, complain about shit. Like
you get that lick in finally, right?
Yeah, so it's like, I'm gonna lay it in. And he's the same way, but it was kind of comical. Like he'll hit me really hard. I'm like, and I hit him really hard. And he'd be like, God damn it. Like I remember I took a wet floor sign and I broke it over his back, but like I didn't really think about it because I just looked at it as like, you're not gonna get mad at me, And I'm like your brother, so whatever. But if you keep it closed and you hit someone in the back with it, it's like getting hit with like
a 2x4.
yeah. you know, he had like a welt and marks on his back for like a month, and I'm like, yo, man. But yeah, when you wrestle like like a guy like him, like your brother, or whatever, it's like it's fun, it's tough, it's you try to out pop each other. But he's like wrestling a bear too. He's a big dude, so like he's tough too. So it's my hits probably don't hurt as much as his, but but.
So looking at your career, we've kind of touched base on a lot of things. We've started, that 05, 06 range, starting at the very top. We've worked all the way through to where we're at now. We've kind of seen a lot. If you had a chance to go back, though, night one, day one, match one, and you looked at rookie Hale, what advice would you give that man on his first match? Going into just starting your career from scratch, you get to go back on that night and give him advice. What advice do you give him?
Look at it as a business. I was always very passionate about wrestling. I always loved wrestling. Basically, I was just happy to be there for a good amount of time. I was always looking at everything as an opportunity. I'm just happy to wrestle. Thank you for putting me on the show. But you really got to look at it as a business. So if you ever look at all the guys that look at it as a business, they're always very successful. They made the most money. So you don't want to land on your head for no money. You want to make things count. Me and Vic wrestled tons of ladder matches, cage matches, did a lot of stuff that's not even on film. You know what I mean? Like, because we were wrestling, back in the day, where like there is no cameras, there is no phones, there is no, none of that. So we have a lot of stuff that like a lot of people don't know how long we were wrestling. So like, that's one thing I'll go back to. Like, look at it as a business. Don't be a mark for yourself. Just look at it as a business. Everything you do, like how many people in the crowd? What's your goal for shirts? How many shirts did you sell last year over year? The profit, like how the shirts go up in price. The 8x10s, how much you selling those for? And how many did you sell last show? Oh, you took a loss. Why? It's like you gotta look at it as like a business. Your pay rate, everything. Like if you wrestle everywhere like a lot of places in the country, you wrestle for here, great places, then why are you going to go wrestle for a place where there's not a lot going on and cheap? Like it's just, I don't know. It's hard to explain, but like if I go back, I would be like, yeah, protect your body, look at it as like a business, save your bumps, save your injuries, save your risks.
I've heard a lot of guys say that there's only so many bumps on your bump card. Like, speaking from your experience, is that true?
Yeah. See, like, when you're passionate about something, you don't really feel the pain as someone that's not. So I never, Johnny Roddz was really tough because the ring was like cement. If you didn't land right, you were like,
You felt it every time.
You're like breaking half. So now a lot of times, like there's a lot of rings out there that are very soft. Not very soft. Take that back. If you don't land right, it still sucks, but you don't get effed up from it. Like if you land wrong at a Johnny Roddz ring from 1986, if you don't land right, it's like falling in concrete. So if you're 18, I weighed like 145 pounds at the time, getting beat up by old men, grizzled, jacked, bitter. It sucks, right? So like, and I would, and that's like another thing with like your bump card. Like you gotta make sure you go to the right school where they protect your body. Like a lot of like you go to schools and like nowadays like there's people that are just like bitter and they take their frustrations out on young talent. Oh, you don't want as much as I did. No, how about you protect their body? Like you don't need to take. I used to do like 100 back bumps in training, 100 side bumps, 100 left side bumps, 100 face plant bumps, 100, and I used to go on like freaking like shot, like 18, puking and stuff. So it's like I look back at that too. If I tell my young self like, hey, that's unnecessary. You shouldn't take 50 gorilla presses from a 7'4" Russian for no reason. Because he wants to practice his gorilla presses.
All right, Hale. Done all the damage I'm going to do for one night for you, but I always close with 5 random that have nothing to do with wrestling. I got yours queued up. You ready?
Yep.
Number 1, what's your favorite movie?
American Psycho.
Solid pick. Number 2, what's your all-time favorite entrance theme song? Spot.
Yeah, Demolition.
Ooh, that's a solid one.
Also, Hawaiian Crush.
Okay, I'll look into that one. That one doesn't ring a bell right off, but everybody remembers Demolition. Question number 3. This is an either or kind of. Would you rather never get tired again or be able to sleep whenever you want?
Ooh, that's a good one. Sleep when you want.
That's a solid pick. I miss sleep, and as I've gotten older, I'm a bit of an insomniac. So being able to sleep whenever I want and sleep well, I would take that too.
Yeah, imagine going like a flight and just going right to sleep.
And then waking up and being ready to go. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Question 4. What's your favorite food?
Pizza.
Always hands down favorite food on the planet.
Best.
And 5th and final question. Who's your favorite musical artist right now? It doesn't necessarily have to be all time. Just who are you listening to the most right now?
Nirvana.
Always a solid pick. I was a grunge guy growing up. Soundgarden, Pearl Jam, Nirvana. That was my jam.
Yeah, it was cool. It's from Smashing Pumpkins, NWA.
Oh yeah, I mean that all works, right? Tying it all into where you're at now.
Yeah.
All right, Hal. This is everybody's favorite part of the episode, though, because I just let you plug your stuff, put yourself over, tell everybody what you and Vic got coming up in the near future.
Currently wrestle a lot for ISPW. You can check them out. Tommy Fierro puts on a great show. He brings in great people, and the crowds are awesome. And we, hopefully, if we qualify, we have the NWA Crockett Cup. And be June, which is awesome. But we got to qualify first. So, and if you want to check me on Instagram, it's Hale.Collins, and Twitter's Hale Collins. So,
well, Hell, man, I appreciate you taking some time out of your Tuesday and sitting down and chatting with some wrestling with me, man.
Yeah, no, thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. For NWA Superstar Hale Collins, I am the Will Gray. Thanks for stopping by and listening, my people.